Assistant Treasurer Stephen Jones, he's going after Google, Apple. This announcement's going to be later on today, $50 million fines to try and create a fairer playing field. What are your thoughts on that announcement today?
I'm looking at my watch saying, where have you been, Stephen Jones? It's been 2 years and we've been speaking about the social media platforms getting out of control. We've now hit the last 2 sitting weeks of the year already. We're about to head into Christmas. There's still some question as to whether we will come back at all. I think this is all talk and no action from Stephen Jones. As we've seen for the last 2.5 years, he's been missing in action.
Yeah, but when it comes to Apple Pay, you know, does there need to be a spotlight on that? I know that the banks are accusing it of being quite unfair.
Certainly, our payment system has been evolving very rapidly, and the RBA have been looking at this. This is Stephen Jones getting ahead of the RBA's own report into our payment systems. They're the experts. It sounds like yet another Assistant Treasurer announcement about an announcement rather than any action.
Okay, and just a final one here, because it's in your state of Victoria. I know you're not there today, but in Victoria, some 60 pubs and clubs will not be open on Australia Day next year because the owner of these pubs, and there are pubs right around the country that this particular company owns, it says it's not going to celebrate Australia Day because some of its patrons are hurt by the day. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, I think it's an absolute nonsense. If you're one of those people that would like to boycott Australia Day, you can do so by staying at home. You don't need to go to a pub. More importantly, though, I think it's no coincidence that Australia Day next year falls on both it's a public holiday and a Sunday. That means the penalty rates that are going to apply to staff that work in those pubs are going to be out of this world. When I speak to pub owners, I'll tell you what they're talking to me about. They're talking about unfair industrial relations, and they're talking about the cumulative excise on beer prices in particular. That's pushing prices up, pushing the price of food up as well because of that cumulative inflationary effect. And
would you wind that back, by the way? Beer excise?
Consumer behaviour.
The alcohol excise?
Well, they go to the... I tell you what we'd wind back. We'd wind back inflation, because if you wind back inflation, then the beer excise is nothing like as onerous as it has been in the last 3 years. The only way you're going to wind back prices and the cost of living is to wind back inflation.
Why are governments so... I know you get a lot of money from it. Why are you afraid to touch it, to wind it back, the alcohol excise? Is it because you stand to lose too much?
Because the best way to do it is through inflation. If you can keep your inflation under control, well, then your beer excise is under control. Any excise is under control. That's what we saw in the 9 years of coalition government. Inflation wasn't on the radar as a problem because it was managed, because the budget was managed. And if you can manage your budget, if you can manage that urge to spend, inflation stays under control. That's something that Jim Chalmers and Anthony Albanese have failed to do, and that's why Australians are paying more when they're getting a draft beer. It's why they're paying more at the supermarket. It's why they're paying more when they pay off their mortgages, because Anthony Albanese and Jim Chalmers simply cannot manage the economy.
Jane, we'll leave it there. Thank you for your time, though. We'll chat to you soon.